Yo guys, welcome back to the third episode in the Chelsea PvP. I noticed that the Mason Mount versus Kai Havertz one didn't go down brilliantly, but I'm still interested in seeing these stats, and I'm sure at least one of you will be interested similarly to me. So today we have got Ben Chilwell versus Reece James, two of Chelsea's attacking fullbacks. It's obviously Emerson at the club and Cesar as Piliqueta, but Chilwell and James are both more attacking. Chilwell was brought in for £50 million from Leicester in the summer due to his engine down the left hand side. He's great at defending, but he's also equally as good going forwards. He's got a great cross on him, and he's pretty much mastered a technique of volleying, which I think goes under the radar a lot. Reece James is also similar to Chilwell. He's a little bit more physical. I think they're similar height, but he's a lot buffer. He's massive. He's really strong, so he's probably not as good at defending. His spatial awareness isn't probably the best, but his physicality makes up for it, as he can just body people off the ball, and his touch is perfect, and his crosses are always pinpoint, always to the strikers, about 99%. So both of them at Chelsea's fullbacks have been great under Lampard this season. However, he got sacked, and Tuchel, I'm currently recording this before the Burnley game. I don't know if this got before the Burnley game, but against Wolves, he didn't play Reece James. He played Callum Hudson-Odoi at right wing back, and he actually got man of the match because he was so good going forwards. And Ben Chilwell was alright. He did a solid job, but he was a bit more defensive than Callum Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi was just taking on the Wolves fullbacks or wing backs 24/7. The whole game throughout, he was constantly running at them, giving them nightmares. He was electric that game. So Chelsea's left back situation was not looking good last season. We obviously had Emerson and Marcos Alonso at our disposal. Lampard normally went with Alonso at left back, but he's a lot better as a wing back, and he's just not good. He's just not good anymore. So Ben Chilwell was brought in for £50 million. There were other options like Nicola Tagliafico, also Sergio Reguilon, who's gone to Spurs. He looks like a great bargain for like £24 million. I'm a little bit jealous about that, but I'm equally as happy with Ben Chilwell. Anyway, Ben Chilwell has played 16 games this season, not been subbed on once, probably been subbed off a couple of times, but 16 games out of the 19 that these stats have added up to. And Reece James has had 13 appearances, with one coming off the bench. I think I remember that he came into the midfield for injury time, but the other six starts at right back have probably been Cesar Azpilicueta instead, as he's a lot more defensive. He's brilliant at defending one-on-ones. I think he's one of the better defenders at Chelsea. But he's not as good at going forwards as Reece James, so it's kind of a conundrum. It's an interesting one, but today we're going to see who's better, Reece James or Benjamin Chilwell. So now onto the second stat, and it's minutes. Ben Chilwell has had 1,351 minutes this term, compared to Reece James's 1,173. There's only 200 minutes in it. It's not a super interesting one, this one. But as you can see, Chilwell has been a major improvement on the left back situation at the club. And I think the only games that he's missed out is probably through injury, as I remember he got subbed off when he twisted his ankle, and I don't think he played the first few games due to a heel injury. So Emerson, I think, was playing there instead, or it might have been Alonso. Yeah, it was Alonso, and then he fell out with Frank Lampard, and he hasn't played since. So fullbacks aren't the most attacking in the goal sense, but assists, they're very key nowadays. They never used to be that key, but ever since, I don't know, I don't really know who's the defender who changed that around. Is it Philip Lahm or Gary Neville? They're a lot more attacking these days, and Trent Alexander-Arnold is pretty much the perfect fullback. Also on the other hand side for Liverpool, and Andrew Robertson and also Alphonso Davies, they're three of the best fullbacks in the world. And goals, they come up with some clutch goals sometimes. Reece James got the equaliser against Ajax in the Champions League last year. In that, was it 4-4 in the end? That was a mental game. That was one of the craziest games that I've ever seen. And then Ben Chilwell has also come in with a few goals himself. Notably, I remember that long shot he got for Leicester, just after the restart last season. But he's been in a few of the goals. He's got 2 this term, compared to Reece James's 1. But Chilwell has had 4 assists compared to Reece James's 2. Now this just goes to show how much of an improvement Ben Chilwell is at left back than Alonso or Emerson. and the £50 million I think was well spent. Reece James is obviously an academy boy who came through with the likes of Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Kai Tomori, Billy Gilmore. We know all the players, and so he didn't cost the club much at all, well, nothing, because he's came from the academy. But he's not had as good performance this season than Ben Chilwell. Yes, you've got to bear in mind that he's had 3 games less. He's like, what is it, 200 minutes less, but he's not had as much of a impact on the right hand side than left hand side. And I don't know yet, but Callum Hudson-Odoi had a great performance at right wing back, and you never know, we might see that going forward. Callum Hudson-Odoi at right wing back and Reece James being forced into the midfield maybe, or even a right centre back. So now onto yellow cards, not the most interesting one. Ben Chilwell has had 1, Reece James has had 3. So that obviously shows yet again Chilwell's experience. He's not old, he's literally 23, or is it 24? But Reece James is like 20, 21, I think. So he's got a few more years of experience in the Premier League than Reece James. He had this breakthrough season last season, but has been playing quite a lot this season. Like we said, 13 games and 1 coming off the bench. So as you can see from the yellow cards, he's showing a little bit more clumsiness. I remember the James Maddison goal, that was all down to him really. Or it wasn't just him, but it was not a good spatial defensive awareness from the 21-year-old fullback. So now shots per game. This is an interesting one. As a fullback, you don't want them getting into many shooting positions, because on transition, they might not be there to help out and defend. But Ben Chilwell has had 0.8 shots per game, and Reece James has had 1.3, despite the fact that Chilwell has had 1 more goal than Reece James, albeit it was literally just 1 more. Chilwell with 2, Reece James with 1. I do remember Reece James's goal against Brighton. I can't remember if that was the winner or not, but that was spectacular. That was out of this world. It was amazing. The swerve he got on it to take it away from the keeper into the top corner. I don't think any goalie is saving that. I think Matty Ryan's at Arsenal now, which is an out of the blue transfer. Now to pass percentage. Ben Chilwell, this is a bit disappointing from him. 82.6%. 82.6% of passes find the feet of the player he's aiming for, which I guess is quite high. It's a lot higher than Tammy Abraham's, as we saw in the last episode, but it's still not great compared to Reece James's of 88.2, which just goes to show Reece James's crosses. I think crosses count as a pass, no? Yeah, I think it does. Reece James's passing and crossing is immaculate. He just needs to work on his, I guess, defensive awareness. I don't know how you can teach defensive awareness, because it's more instinct. When I'm playing in the midfield, it's just more instinct where the ball is and where you have to be and where the runners are coming from. Yeah, I don't know how you teach that. I guess you got to just keep drilling it in, drill it in, and then eventually, I guess he'll learn. All the best, dude. One other thing that I've noticed about Ben Chilwell this season is that he's really not afraid to go up for headers, which is really important for a fullback, as some of the strikers, if they're crossing it in, like Burnley, all they do is play 4-4-2, get it out to Dwight McNeil, cross it in for Chris Wood in the middle, or Ashley Barnes. Is he still at Burnley? I think he might be. Ben Chilwell has had 1.7 aerial duels won per game, compared to Reece James's exact same, 1.7. So I think Reece James might be like 1 inch taller than Ben Chilwell. Correct me if I'm wrong. They might be exactly the same height. But Ben Chilwell is not as much as an aerial threat. On paper, I guess Reece James has the upper body strength and he's got massive thighs to leap off the ground. But Ben Chilwell is not afraid to put his head where it might hurt, which is very important, like I said, to have at the back. So penultimately, we've got man of the match ratings, both with 1 man of the match each. I think that's a good job. I think they've both been very key to Lampard's success when we were top of the league, but I don't think it was their fault when we dropped off in form. Obviously went all the way down to 9th at one point, but obviously Thomas Tuchel is in now and I don't know how he's doing. Chilwell had a chance against Wolves yesterday that he skied over the bar. It was very good, well worked. I think it was a good intricate pass from Kovacic into Havertz, who pulled it back for Chilwell, who kind of just leant back and it just went over the bar. It was a very good shooting opportunity to get our noses in front in that game, and it did end up finishing 0-0. So all these stats so far have kind of favoured Ben Chilwell. I guess apart from pass percentage, every single one favoured Ben Chilwell. But if you look at the final one that it comes down to, average match rating, Ben Chilwell's average match rating is 7.02, which is solid, it's good. Over 7 I think is respectable, but Reece James is 7.06, so there's only 0.04 in it, but Reece James is ahead. That's all that really matters. So overall he's had a theoretically better season, but now we're going on to who I think has had the better season so far. Okay, like I just said, on paper, Reece James has had the better season than Ben Chilwell, but I do think Ben Chilwell has had a bigger impact on the team, going down the left-hand side to Christian Pulisic in front of him. He's so direct at running, and I guess he's just I wouldn't say a better player. He's got more experience. He knows the Premier League more than Reece James. So I'm going to say Chilwell has had the better season than Reece James. Azpilicueta can fill in for James, but I guess Chilwell, the only thing that I'm a bit worried about is that Emerson, he had a good performance against Luton, Lampard's last game, but he's not really in the same league as Chilwell. Alonso's just out of the picture. He might be in the picture once again with Thomas Tuchel, but I don't see him getting very many games at all for Chelsea in the future. I think he'll just be shipped off in the summer, or maybe even potentially this January. So I do think that Ben Chilwell's got to be careful. He can't take his place for granted in the Chelsea team. He's going to have to keep working hard again and again, and especially his concentration in the game, that can sometimes bring him down. But I think he has had a better season than Reece James so far. Okay, that is all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Comment down below who you think's had the better season based off of these stats and their performances. Make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out when I upload a video. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. Goodbye.